Hello everybody, I'm Krasi Attasio and this is my week for the 12 ascendants. This week is very interesting. For some areas of the world, Venus is preparing to become visible this week. For some parts of America, for Europe, Venus will not be visible yet. Also this week she will not be entirely visible also for America, but is preparing. We're having the Sun entering the sign of Virgo, where the Sun will join Venus and Mercury, which are still invisible, and Mars remains invisible in the sign of Leo. Then we're having Saturn, who is stationary and finally preparing to become direct. And the direct motion of Saturn is very important. This will be kind of relief for us. So on the 17th, I think, I made separate video, I think 17th or 18th of September, Saturn is becoming direct. You can look at my video where I'm explaining in detail what possibly to expect from his direct motion. But in any case, Saturn is receiving now this week the influences of Venus and Mercury and the Sun, which are creating square. And I don't see this as a bad square, because the square of Venus is always good, and Mercury in his own sign. So they seem to be more powerful than. So actually, all the planets are very powerful now. Because imagine Mercury powerful in his own sign, yet invisible. Venus preparing for some parts of the world to become visible, and Saturn in a phase of stationary phase. So Saturn is not moving from our perspective. And yes, Jupiter is still in Scorpio and finally direct, which is very, very nice. But Mars remains invisible and is squaring Jupiter. Now, what would this mean on the sky? I made separate video on the placement of Mercury and Venus and the particular heliacal rise, which would say symbolical birth of Venus, and what this can possibly bring. Well, it is beautiful in terms of spirituality, in terms of creating, art, and not so much supportive in terms of love, finances, and markets. But look at my separate video, which is especially about Venus in Virgo, and also about my video on the phases of Venus. Now, this is about this week. The most powerful thing is the stationary phase of Saturn. And while Saturn is stationary just for a while, 2-3 days, it is really good to know this, to be very well organized and to avoid risks, because Saturn, when stationary, is very slow. So also very he can be difficult in terms of giving us the karmic lessons. And in this sense, it's good not to get involved into risky situations, neither in conflicts, to use our intuition and to organize well every single event that we are involved in during our routine everyday life. But the good thing is that Venus is watching Saturn. This is softening a lot. And Venus and Jupiter are forming sextile. Venus, Mercury, the Sun, Jupiter forming sextile, harmonious aspect on the sky. This is also good. So we always have our saviors. The situation is not that bad. I'm just saying that when Saturn is too slow, his lessons can be also a bit slow and painful. So soon he becomes direct this week on the 18th, I think, yes, on the 18th. And this is the good news of the week. So, and this is of course good for the fire trine. It is good for people who have Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, rise on the ascendant or with the moon or midheaven. So they will be a little bit relieved from the heavy influences of the retrograde Saturn. Okay, so this was just an overview. For more information, you can really see my other videos, which are detailed on the specific phases of the planets. Okay, so let's start now with ascendant Aries. So what is happening for you? Aries ascendant, I just mentioned that you will experience, of course, the influences of Saturn, who is for 2-3 days stationary and then becomes direct. So yes, for 2-3 days, the beginning of the week, be a bit cautious when driving. When actually you are on the safe side because Saturn is trining your ascendant, but this is still Saturn. So just be cautious when don't get involved into risky situations. Also because Mars, your ascendant ruler, is still invisible and still aspecting your ascendant, and also Saturn. But the good thing is that this week you will be relieved in terms of unfinished things, which Saturn most probably didn't allow you to finish. If Saturn didn't allow you to finish your studies, for example, or didn't allow you to complete travel plans, work with people abroad, now you will finally, especially from the middle of the week on, you will finally be able to solve those things. At work, the week is also good. You may have the support of subordinates and colleagues. Health-wise, the week looks fine to me as well. And yes, you may travel, but try not to be the first 2-3 days of the week. From Wednesday on, the week looks better for me, to me, in terms of travel for you. And yes, the week can be nice for communication and yes, travel, but as I said, wait for the first 2-3 days to pass from the week. So yes, better week for completing your plans, but not entirely for new beginnings, because for good new beginnings, you need really Venus to be visible. Even Mars, who is about your ascendant ruler. So yes, this was about Aries ascendant. Let's see now Taurus. Now, Venus, your ascendant ruler, for ascendant Taurus, I'm speaking, is for some parts of the world preparing to become visible in Virgo, and Venus is together with Mercury and is trine in your ascendant, trine in your 9th house. This is a good placement. Good placement for communication with children. Good placement for your plans to do some artistic work or joy, pleasure, work of creativity, or studies. So in this sense, this can be very supportive. You may travel, you may communicate, you may negotiate. Just be a little bit cautious at work. There you may need to be diplomatic, and also at home. Health-wise, the week looks fine to me. Yes, and also the week looks fine in your private life, your private relationship, or any relationships that are important for you this week. So the week looks quite okay for you. Let's see now Gemini ascendant. Now for you, Saturn Gemini ascendant is making opposition to your ascendant and is going to be for 2-3 days in the beginning of the week, stationary, very slow, a bit surprising, a bit not very easy. These 2-3 days, be a bit cautious. Be cautious when communicating with a partner, with your romantic partner, also with partners related to career, any kind of partnerships. Your ascendant ruler, Mercury, is in Virgo together with Venus, and this is supportive at home, for work, for communication with superiors. This week you may travel. Health-wise, the week is okay. Just avoid the first 2-3 days of the week to take risks, and plan your days in your travels if you need to. Good also if you need to communicate or negotiate. Health-wise, the week is okay. You may receive support and help from subordinates. Just the first 2-3 days of the week are especially to be a bit cautious, and after that you'll be relieved because Saturn becomes direct. Yes, his influences will still be felt, not easy, but it's better than being retrograde or stationary, which he was for quite some time. Okay, and then you'll be able indeed to complete things that you in your private life, to complete things that you have agreements for. So in this sense, this can be very positive. Okay, now let's see Cancer ascendant. Yes, for you, the first days of the week, you may have some challenges associated to subordinates, to the environment at work. So the first 2-3 days of the week, be a bit cautious, be diplomatic, be intuitive. Also careful for your health. After that, the week looks better to me. So the first 2-3 days of the week, be careful. But after that, you will be a bit relieved. You may travel, you may negotiate. Health-wise, I said in the beginning of the week, especially be cautious. Your relationship looks okay to me. In terms of communication, negotiations, the week is okay. Just use your intuition and prepare the day very well. In terms of money, Mars is still invisible on your second house, and this would say that you may need to plan your things, especially financially well. Don't think impulsively. Just do very good preparation work. But for the rest, Venus is, for some parts of the world, preparing to become visible. So this will be supportive, supporting your personal plans and also your relationship. Okay, this was for Cancer ascendant. Let's see Leo. Now, this week, Mars is still on your ascendant, so be a bit careful. Be careful when driving. Be careful when planning your activities, especially the first 2-3 days of the week. Be especially cautious with children. Be attentive all the time still until Saturn is in your fifth house. Be attentive to children. Health-wise, the week is okay. The week is very fine for studies, for creative studies, for completing them. Or if you couldn't complete now, when Saturn becomes direct, you may have this chance. Work-wise, at home, the week looks fine to me. You may travel, you may negotiate, but very cautiously, very carefully, because Mars is on your ascendant until the end of the week. So Mars on the ascendant, invisible, can be a bit surprising. So if you have to travel, plan everything very well. If you have to negotiate as well, don't get involved into risky situations, and just be careful because now indeed Mars is alone on your ascendant. While he was with Mercury and Venus, they would soften his influences a lot. But now when he's alone on your ascendant, it's indeed good to be cautious and to plan your routine activities with intuition and good planning. Okay, this was for Leo ascendant. Let's see Virgo. Now for you, this week the Sun is joining your ascendant, but you already have Mercury and Venus on the ascendant. This is very nice for artistic work, for quality work, for poetry, not yet for performance because the planets are invisible, but for some parts of the world, Venus is already preparing to become visible. The Sun is entering your ascendant. Beautiful energies are coming to support you. So in this sense, this is very nice in terms of spirituality, trade as well, luck as well. Now, especially first days of the week, Saturn is stationary on your fourth house. So be cautious at home and also at work with your superiors when communicating. Especially. Otherwise, you may travel, you may do business abroad, you may, especially good the week will be for artistic and spiritual work, and looks like a very lucky week for you. Health-wise as well, just the first 2-3 days of the week, be especially cautious at work and at home. Okay, still the luck is on your side, and that is very, very important. Okay, let's see Libra ascendant. Now for you, your ascendant ruler is with Mercury and the Sun on your 12th house. This is not so nice, but it's interesting in terms of dreams that you can receive, in terms of studies that you can desire to complete and to concentrate into. Interesting dreams this can produce, spiritual activities also. Now, in terms of travel and communication, this is not the most appropriate week. Not really, especially the first 2-3 days of the week are not really very appropriate. You may be a bit impulsive with people that surround you at work. Be cautious, like use your intuition. The week is not bad, but it's not very productive, so to say. When Venus becomes visible for some parts of the world, it will not be this week, it will be the week after, but still she's already preparing to become visible, and this is on your 12th house. So this is kind of emphasized on your 12th house, which is about spirituality, temples, work of empathy, supporting others, spiritual work, secret studies, esoterics. So this is what is emphasized on for you. Jupiter is supporting your finances. So as I said, the week is not bad, but it's not specifically great. However, financially, Jupiter is making sure that you remain safe. Health-wise as well, but you may say or feel lack of energy for a while, or desire for self-isolation, but this is for good. This can be very spiritual. So this was about Libra rising. Let's see now Scorpio ascendant. You have Jupiter on the ascendant, direct, beautiful, supportive, divine, lucky. That's what I would say. Your ascendant ruler is invisible on your 10th house. This can make you impulsive because Mars can be unpredictable when invisible. Therefore, be intuitive and careful at work when communicating with superiors. In terms of social relationships, social circle, finances, the week is interesting and you can have good financial results. But be specifically cautious the first 2-3 days of the week. After that, the week looks better to me. Health-wise, the week looks good because you have the luck of Jupiter on your ascendant, who is also supporting your private life and your relationship. That especially will be supported already when Venus becomes visible, but this is not yet. She's only preparing for some parts of the world to become visible, but will really be visible a bit later. Okay, this was for Scorpio ascendant. Let's see Sagittarius. Now for you, Saturn is on your ascendant. We know that, but Saturn is going to be the first 2-3 days of the week stationary. During these 2-3 days, I would say be cautious. Don't take risks. Drive carefully. Just don't get involved into risky situations. And after that, when Saturn becomes direct on the 18th, I think you will be really relieved. Especially in addition to that, when Venus becomes visible, she's already preparing. This will be very softening, very good for you. It will be relief because you've been through a lot, I know, with Saturn for quite some time already on your ascendant. So just especially give attention to the first 2-3 days of the week, and be just don't get involved into risky situations, and new beginnings are not appropriate. Yes, this is in terms of spirituality and travel. Mars on your 9th house, maybe wait a while. Wait for another week until he leaves your 9th house really alone, and then you will have easier time to travel and negotiate. Health-wise, the week looks okay to me, but just the first 2-3 days of the week be specifically cautious. Okay, let's see Capricorn ascendant. Now Jupiter is really savior for you, from saving you in terms of finances, in terms of social communication. Venus and Mercury and the Sun from your 9th house are also very nice. They support your communication abroad, travel, so you may do that. However, the first 2-3 days of the week, be a bit careful. Health-wise, the week looks okay to me, better than the week before. In terms of communication, travel, negotiations, the week is really good, but it's not really very appropriate for new beginnings. Health-wise, I said it's okay, apart from the first 2-3 days of the week. So this was for Capricorn rising. Now let's see Aquarius. Now for you, Jupiter from the 10th house is supporting your career, communication with superiors, but Saturn will be stationary and is ruling your ascendant for 2-3 days in the beginning of the week. This is the period where you may need to be a bit cautious. On the other hand, Mars on your descendant it can be a little bit challenging for your relationship, can be unpredictable, even a bit hostile. So be loving and intuitive and diplomatic at home or every relationship that you have. In terms of study, spiritual work, the week is very appropriate and very good. Financially also will be, apart from the first 2-3 days where you may feel a little bit of stagnation. So the week is not really brilliant for travel and negotiations, but they are also not prohibited. Just be very well prepared, and especially wait 2-3 days after the week starts. After that, you may have better timing. Health-wise, also, the first 2-3 days, the beginning of the week, be a bit cautious, and after that, the week looks good to me. And be specifically careful. Don't get involved in risky situations, and be diplomatic and intuitive at home. With children, also be attentive, and this is valid for the whole period while Saturn is on your 11th house. Okay, let's see now. Pisces ascendant. For you, beautiful, your ascendant ruler is trining your ascendant. The first 2-3 days can be challenging at work when it comes to superiors. You also may lack to a degree the support of subordinates. That also can be a bit hostile. In terms of health, it's good also to be responsible. The good thing which is happening is on your 7th house. Relationship, a romantic relationship, relationships with people. There is the luck for you this week. So if you have things that you have to improve from before, improve them now. When it comes to partner, home, romantic partnerships. So this is good. Just work, superiors, both, and subordinates can be a bit tricky this week. And also health-wise is good to be just to stay on the safe side, have healthy lifestyle. So have a very good week, and the timestamps are under this video, and if you have questions or comments, you're very welcome. Thank you.